Hello and welcome back to Matt Hayes' Tottenham blog and to what's going to be a very fun match review from Tottenham's victory against Arsenal in the Premier League yesterday. I'm delighted to say I'm joined by David Harris, the Irish Yid, a regular on the channel, and also Todd and Scott from the Podspur team. Thanks very much for joining us, guys. Todd, it's your Tottenham Fan Voice podcast debut. How are you getting on?
Oh, always well on a day after a North London derby victory. Cannot complain, sir. Thanks for having us.
It's an absolute pleasure. Scott as well. Welcome back. How are you doing?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Matt. Doing very well, I guess. Hard not to be after what transpired yesterday. So.
Oh, indeed. And David Harris back on here again. How are you?
Oh, absolutely delighted. Look, this result makes my month. Christmas started for me yesterday. Come on, you Spurs. Thanks for having me on again.
Yeah, look, it was an absolutely outstanding day for us. A lot of people criticising the performance, but I think we know it was a lot better than people are giving us credit for. Just as a reminder to those of you who aren't fully aware of this, and look, I don't know how anyone watching wouldn't be aware of this, but here is how the Premier League table looks right now. We have Tottenham sitting pretty at the very top of it, and you may notice a certain team missing from the top 14 there. And if we scroll down just a little bit further, there they are. Arsenal slumping to 15th after what was a very, very disappointing defeat for them yesterday. Son and Kane on the score sheet. Outstanding performance. It was backs against the walls for a lot of it, but it's what we wanted to do. Todd, how impressed were you with the way we played yesterday?
I was saying on the pod yesterday for us guys that this is the best home defense I've ever seen ever. It's organized. It is calm. It is collected. And the most important thing about it is that when we get a turnover, we know exactly what we're doing on the counter. That was the thing that I think was lacking was that secondary piece. We had all of these horses, but under Poch, I don't necessarily know that in the turn we knew what we were doing with the ball. And here, that's certainly not a question. So I was extremely impressed. And obviously, PH is my man of the match. He was also, I think Sky's man of the match as well. He did a lot more than just running around and getting a lot of praise.
Yeah, he's proven to be an absolutely amazing addition to our team. I know David agrees with me. He's been one of our best players this season, one of our most influential players. We've gone to his stats for the game yesterday in a little bit because they were absolutely outstanding. Scott, it was Harry Kane and Hojbjerg Son combining again. They're the most clinical duo in a single Premier League history ever. And we're only 11 games in. And they're also the second most clinical duo in Premier League history altogether with 31 goal combinations. How do they keep getting better, Scott?
It's a great question, Matt. I'm not even sure I understand that, how two people can perform so sublimely. I don't even know if I fully wrapped my head around how good those two are yet, and I think maybe as Tottenham fans, we've never experienced having arguably the two best players in the league, leading the line for us. But Hojbjerg and Son, I think, of course, Harry Kane is going to be the name on many lips, but Son is arguably the most informed footballer on the planet right now. I mean, there really is an argument to be made there. Of course, other leagues, bring folks into the fold, but Son has been playing the at the peak of his career. We all know that, and I think it's very fitting, that a statement win like this against our rival, that is those two that bag the goals that put us through. I think, with Kane too, the fact that assist to Son and the goal both came off his left foot too, just continues to drive home, the fact at this point that he's the most complete footballer we're watching play right now.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. And I was talking to David a while ago about the expected goals and expected assists for Kane and Son. Son this season has an expected goals of about 3.5, and he's scored 10, so he's really outperformed that. And Harry Kane similarly has a expected assists of about 4, and he's up there in 10 at the top of the list of the Premier League this season. And look, he's already halfway to the single season assist record set by Thierry Henry when he got 20. So I don't see any reason why Kane can't go on and smash that this season. Now, David, I know a player you were very impressed with yesterday was Serge Aurier.
Yeah, Serge Aurier. Look, this is a guy, first and foremost, I put my hands up. I was one of the first people to call him out and say he wasn't good enough. And for me, I was at a point where I just wanted Tanganga to play there. I didn't want Aurier to get any more games. But look, since Ledley King's come in, and since Mourinho has got in his ear, they've turned him into one of the best right backs in the Premier League at this moment in time on form. He doesn't make any mistakes. He cuts out as much as he can. when they tried to cross the ball. Look, he gets great help from Sissoko as well. I have to add that in.
Mm-hmm.
But look, this is a guy that's completely turned around his form. Yeah, yesterday for the second goal, like what a tackle in the box. Like look, last year he probably would have missed time that, giving away a penalty, or they would have been through on goal. And this year he absolutely smashed it. Perfect tackle, and then he gets the ball out to Lo Celso, and it's build up for a second ball. And look, we must be one of the hardest teams to play in the league in the minute, and people must hate it purely because, like, we don't concede goals. We'll defend all day long, and we can score at will whenever we want.
Yeah, definitely. And look, I think it was a really encouraging performance, but it's the fact that it's come on the back of the victory against Manchester City and the draw against Chelsea. You know, we played the same game 3 times, and it was really, really effective every single time. And to keep 3 clean sheets in a row against those teams after earlier in the season questioning whether our defence was the weakest part of our team, having missed out in Milan Skriniar in the summer, I think it's sensational to see us in a position here where we are the toughest team to break down. You know, we're the best defence in the league, only conceded 9 goals in 11 games, and I think only 1 goal conceded in the league since that capitulation against West Ham, which was, of course, that questionable one against Brighton. Now, we're going to get into the match stats in a little bit as well. We're going to talk player stats, focusing mainly on Hojbjerg and Aurier, who were outstanding yesterday. We're going to talk about the pundits' reactions. We're going to get some AFTV memes as well towards the end of the stream, so make sure to stick around from that. But before we get into all that, here's a quick little message for any new viewers that may be out there. So here we have the match stats and the lineups from yesterday. First of all, as far as the lineups go, the big surprises were, of course, Ndombele missing out for Spurs and Thomas Partey starting in the middle of the park for Arsenal, which of course turned out to be a very poor decision. But Todd, it was a big concern for us early on when Ndombele wasn't even on the bench for this one. Were you worried that could swing the game in Arsenal's favour?
Well, it really was. But as we were talking about it before the match kicked off, this was a lineup that was going to get goals or was going to stop goals from going in. And just by looking at both the way that they put out the 11 on the pitch and also the bench itself, there was no midfield to speak of outside of what they put on there. So that's why, I think the only time that I really got worried about Tanguy not being there was when Gio picked up the yellow relatively early on in the match as it was concerned. And you looked over to the bench and you were like, what are you going to put Winks there? I don't know. So, at the end of the day, I think that what we asked Tanguy to do is go out there and be a race car for 60 minutes. And if your race car's got a flat tire, like you got a flat tire, there's nothing you can do about it. So I'd rather sit him on the bench and be careful than, have him blow out a hammy and try to Sissoko his way out of it.
Yeah, I think you made the point there about Harry Winks, and Jose Mourinho made a very interesting comment after the game. He said, usually when you talk about the changes that we made in the game, he said usually what we do is we take Ndombele off for Giovanni Lo Celso around the 60-minute mark. But I was surprised that he said he couldn't do the same with Lo Celso because there were no options on the bench to bring on, which I think is a damning indictment of Harry Winks and any potential future he may have at Spurs. But aside from that setback, Scott, we had some really, really encouraging things in the lineup. Lloris, Alderweireld and Harry Kane, 3 doubts for the game, mainly Hugo Lloris, all passed fit and all started. How important do you think that was for us?
Incredibly important. I think the biggest piece to this team is that spine right there. Toby, PEH, up through Harry Kane, and being that we didn't have Tanguy, it was incredibly important that we had a few other pieces of that spine that have been very, very important to us, as I just mentioned. But yeah, I think Hugo's the biggest one, right? I know. As much as I love to give credit to Joe Hart, and I really do think he offers a lot of value to this team. He did have a tough game on Thursday, and I'll be the first to admit there was no defense, and the center backs, parted as the Red Sea at times and made it really tough on Joe Hart. But he did have a tough game, and so there were questions about really what was going to happen between his ears should he get the call for the North London Derby. So it was really important to have Hugo back, captain, obviously, and all of that. And then Toby, probably don't even need to give my specific insights into how important Toby is for this team. And as fantastic as Dyer has been, arguably better than Toby is that cool, calm, steady head that you want in the lineup anytime, there's a chance of him being there. So.
Yeah, definitely. I fully agree with you. And the one for Arsenal was, of course, Thomas Partey. Now, David, before the game, you were speaking about this, and you predicted it. You said it was a suicide mission from Arteta, putting Thomas Partey out in that starting 11, and you were spot on.
Yeah, look, we were told January, so no one was expecting him to play, and miraculously a week later he's fit enough to play. I called it in the live watch along. I said if he's playing, he's not fit. There's no way he's fit, and it's a suicide mission from the start if he does start them. And it's exactly what they done. Look, Mikel Arteta played into our hands yesterday completely. The fact that he even played Thomas Partey, and then the fact that they tried to come and attack us so early on. Look, that's exactly what Mourinho wanted them to do. And I was vindicated with my prediction on Thomas Partey, because I don't know whether he had enough of Pierre-Emile Brickhouse, or whether he just basically he pulled up injured again, but he wanted to come off, and Mikel Arteta pushed him on. So I was right. I was right.
Yeah, no, you definitely were. And Tom's saying here, our organisation is second to none. Many managers will be head scratching this season, and that for me is the most encouraging thing, because we're setting up so compact, and every player knows every role. I've said it so much; it's almost the most incredible thing Jose Mourinho has achieved in his career, that he has Sergio Aurier and Moussa Sissoko performing tactically, and like two of the most rash players we've ever seen at Spurs. They're tactically brilliant. They're defensively astute. It's real credit to Jose Mourinho and the coaching staff he has there. But Thomas is dead on. Our organisation is actually spot on. Yeah. Now, looking at these match stats, I think the expected goals as well are in Arsenal's favour, about 0.6 for them and 0.29 for Spurs. And the real match stats back that up as well. It's 70% possession, 11 shots to our 5. We had one more on target, but everything there, corner kicks, they have more shots inside and outside the box, everything passes. It's all there to see. That Arsenal did have more of the ball. They did have probably the better chances. We only had one real chance. You can't call that Son goal a chance. It was an absolutely sensational strike. But it's the way we play. We don't need possession. We don't need chances every 5 minutes. Playing against these big teams, we can beat them anytime, can't we?
Yeah, it's something where if you look at the last two matches in the league before this, we did the exact same thing. Give them 70% possession and take the 3 points. Well, in Chelsea's case, we take the point away at the bridge. But I think that like I said to Scott yesterday, if you were to told me before these 3 matches that we were going to come through them and be through to the next round of the Europa League and have 7 points, I'd have bit your hand off. I absolutely would have bit your hand off. And here we are, top of the table, boys. Top of the table. I mean, I don't get. You could defend a 1-0 lead for 90 minutes for all I care. We're top of the table, boys. Tottenham Hotspur is top of the table. So at some point in time, we have to look at this in the big context, right? We're December 7th, and Tottenham Hotspur is top of the table, above on goal differential from the mighty Liverpool. Come on.
I'll never tire of hearing that top of the table. And look, it's been crazy that we came into this period of games against Manchester City, Chelsea and Arsenal, and we were third, and we've come out of it top of the table. This is historically, especially under that Pochettino era, it was the games against the big 6 that have cost us. We had terrible records against all of them, but somehow we've managed to turn that around. Todd, as you say, 7 points from 9. All of a sudden, I'm feeling confident for this game against Liverpool in 9 days, which is a really weird position to be in. But Scott, do you think there's any team out there that can beat us right
now? I know it's a dangerous answer to give back, but I don't know if there is, at least in the Premier League. We got, yeah, right. That's it. Exactly. And of course, we want to stay humble, but I'm looking at this objectively, and I don't know if there is. I think the biggest thing is, and I was having conversations around this idea yesterday, but we're just playing perfect football. Our transitions are perfect. That's the biggest piece of what we're doing. I think Todd or David mentioned one of the two. In our transitions, everybody's exactly where they need to be at all times. As David mentioned, that recovery from Serge that started the second goal, you could tell before he even went to play that tackle, he knew where everybody was on the pitch, and he knew exactly what he was going to do the second he recovered the ball. And that's just something we've never seen under Tottenham. So it's credit to Jose. I think he's dead focused on revamping his career and proving to people that he's still a very talented manager. I also think it's worth pointing out, we hear a lot of this, we're parking the bus. For me, there's a vast difference between parking the bus and playing very strategic, tactical, low block football. So I don't even argue that we're parking the bus at all. We're defending to our strengths and using, all the talent that we have on the break, which is actually a lot of it. And especially I think on Kane too, kind of on a side note, but I'm, in talking about all this lethal counter, I think for so long we thought we maybe weren't set up to counter because Kane isn't known to be like the paciest person in the world, right? The guy leading our line, but turns out we don't need him leading the line on the break. We need him dropping back and creating the break, and so Jose has just unlocked all these little pieces of these fantastic players that we have, and it's firing on all cylinders, right?
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. Mourinho said it to Kane during that documentary. He said, "I'm going to make you explode," but I don't think anyone thought it would happen in this way. Mm-hmm. And even on that point, like I saw Thomas Partey and Dani Ceballos when he came on, and Granit Xhaka a bit trying to pick up Kane in the middle of the park and trying to. So on that transition, they had him man marked before we even got in the ball, but they just still couldn't stop him. He still got that assist for Son's first goal. He's world class. We've Regan Stein here saying, when I look at our fixtures, I see Leeds as our biggest threat. Which I was talking to a Leeds fan on Twitter yesterday. I do agree. I think Leeds could definitely be a really tough team for us to play against. And to be honest, I'm more nervous about this game against Palace next Sunday than I was about any of these top three, the last three games that we played. And it's such a weird thing to say, but I think even just from looking at your reaction there, every Spurs fan is we're in the same boat. But David, I know you're confident about this game against Palace on Sunday. Who do you think will be the players to hurt them?
For me, look, it'll be Son and Kane again. Obviously, I do think we need Ndombele back in for this game because it is going to be a physical game. Ball is going to be hard fought for. So I think we will need to see Lo Celso drop out and put Ndombele back in. Hopefully he's fit. But the danger man for us is obviously Son and Kane. I just hope that we can find whoever for the right-hand side. But I hope it's Bale, because imagine we get the three of them fully fit and firing. We're going to be even more dangerous than what we are. And just another point I actually want to add. Like, you have to remember, right? We were a team under Pochettino getting praised for finishing third in a two-horse race, getting top four, right? We're now top of the league, and they're absolutely ridiculing us. What do they want, right? Any champions have a stable defence. First and foremost, it's your platform to build off, right? And even the most defensive teams can still win games because all they need, if they keep it tight, is one chance. That's all they need. And if you have someone up front like Harry Kane, it's going to happen all day long. And they're only raging is because they can't beat us. That's why you're seeing all the negativity.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a great segue. I mean, one of the things, Matt, that you said that you wanted to chat about today was just kind of the pundits' reaction to what we're doing over here. And you know what? At least on the American side, we have to watch. At least yesterday, we had to watch it on an NBC app called Peacock, which is a bunch of nonsense, but things are things. Anyway, it was by and large the commentary was Arlo White and Graham Lasso, and Arlo's pretty solid. Graham is just fiery garbage, but we are where we are. But I think that what I really took away from it, even with Rebecca Lowe and the two Robbie clowns in the studio, I don't know how Tottenham can be top of the league, can go in at halftime with a convincing 2-0 lead. Arsenal's clearly got no answer, and we can still be the B side. Like, I don't understand that. How is Arsenal still the A side in 14th when Aubameyang's not scoring any goals and Arteta's a worse manager than Emery on form? What are we talking about?
I just want to say something to that. Like, what did everyone expect us to do? Come out and go for the kill, go 3-4-0, potentially open up ourselves for them to go and score. You're never going to do that in a North London derby because we know any team that is behind, all you need is one goal and you probably go on to win the game. Do you know what I mean? We were never going to come out and open up under Mourinho. I don't know why these pundits felt like they were let down and all yesterday. Even some Spurs fans, I just don't understand it.
Now, I fully agree there, both of you, and it's a great way to get into this. The Jose Mourinho seven principles of winning. Now, I saw this during the week on a podcast on James Lawrence Alcott's channel. He was with Flav, who's a Spurs fan on there. And I'd never seen this before. It's from Diego Torres, who wrote a biography about Jose Mourinho. And here we have Jose's 7 principles of winning. And we can see each and every one of these coming to fruition and being utilised in Tottenham's last couple of games. The first one is the game is won by the team who commits fewer errors. Number 2, football favours whoever provokes more errors in the opposition. Number 3, away from home, instead of trying to be superior to the opposition, it's better to encourage their mistakes. Now, the next 4 I absolutely love. 4, whoever has the ball is more likely to make a mistake. Whoever renounces possession reduces the possibility of making a mistake. 6, whoever has the ball has fear. And 7, whoever does not have it is thereby stronger. Look at these stats yesterday. Arsenal, 70% possession. Spurs, 30% possession. Jose Mourinho is not defending for the sake of it. And David, I was saying this on your podcast, on your live stream a while ago. He's not defending for the sake of it. Behind what we are doing, there are principles, there's a philosophy, and there's a reason behind every single thing he does out in that pitch. And it's proven successful in the past. Look at what he did with Real Madrid with the same tactics. And it's starting to work now at Spurs. And we're becoming one of the best counter-attacking teams in the Premier League, if not the world. It's absolutely sensational to see. And Todd, first of all, I want to know what your opinion was when Jose Mourinho was first appointed, and what you think about him now.
Well, I called it when Pochettino got sacked. We would appoint Jose like that day. That's what I said. That's what I thought would happen. Because if you're looking at the trajectory of the Daniel Levy project at Tottenham, like that was the next step. It's like, okay, well, we've solidified ourselves as a world power. Now we got to go win stuff. Otherwise, what's the point? And so you go get the guy that wins more than anybody else. The other thing is I made this comparison to yesterday, and I don't know how it'll fly on this. Mourinho has some John Wooden-like qualities, which John Wooden was a famous college basketball coach that won like 10 championships at UCLA. And in showing that graphic that you just did, Matt, it emphasizes those same things, is that there's always a method behind the madness. There's a reason for everything that he does. There's a reason why we haven't seen Dele on the bench. There's a reason why he held Tanguy out. There's a reason why we haven't had to use Bale. And wow, that's incredible. Yet all these clown pundits are starting to ask questions about is he as good? How are we paying him $600K a week? Which is I heard that bantered about yesterday. Just all sorts of nonsense because they don't have anything else to do. They're so used to being able to look to us, Matt, and be their whipping boy, and we are no longer that. We are no longer Spursy for them to Spurs against.
I love that. It is. We're changing. It's a winning mentality coming in, and again, look, it comes back to the signings that Jose Mourinho made over the summer. They've all won something in the past. Gareth Bale is a serial winner. With Hojbjerg has won in Germany. Joe Hart, of course, as we know, Scott would love. Joe Hart has won everything there was to win at Manchester City. Even Sergio Reguilon won the Europa League last year. But I want to touch a bit now on Hojbjerg's stats from yesterday. He had 59 touches for Spurs, which was the most of any Spurs players on the pitch. In terms of passes, he had an 80% pass accuracy, which was the highest of any Spurs player that attempted more than one pass in the game. In terms of defense, he won 8 duels, which again was more than any Spurs player. He made 8 clearances. He made 2 interceptions. He was absolutely everywhere. He made fouls when he had to make fouls. Everything we want him to do, he did. And look, Scott, how do you think we would be faring right now if we hadn't brought in Hojbjerg? Do you think we'd be anywhere near the position we are right now?
No way we're top of the table. Not a chance. I think we're in decent shape. Maybe in the top 4 conversation, maybe. But I'm even hesitant to say that just because he's been so important. And we all know we were desperately missing a defensive midfielder for a while. We have it now. But the thing about Hojbjerg for me is 2 words would be intelligence and passion. And I think first of all, he's incredibly passionate. I saw clips yesterday. He got beat by Gabriel. Ben Davies saved his bacon and booted the ball up the field. And Hojbjerg was so angry with himself. He scolded himself on the pitch. Like, he takes things very personally. I also love in his entrance interviews, when we did sign him, he spoke so much about life and perspective beyond football, and he seems to be very, very wise beyond his years, which I think that emotional intelligence is very important. It's something that Jose has in bundles as well, and it's no surprise to me that they've clicked so well and become so close. I love Jose's quote yesterday where he said, Pierre is almost annoying. He's always asking me, why are we doing this? Why are we doing that? Explain to me, just irritating me, but he's going to be a coach someday, And so it tells you that he's thinking big picture. Yeah. Everything that happens on the field, he's tapped into. He directs traffic. And he just sees the game from much more than what is my job, what am I doing here on the field, and that's the biggest piece to it. I think what he's brought to our stability. Just phenomenal football player, and we signed him for what, net $3 million. Kyle Walker-Peters, I understand, factored into that, but a net $3 million for that guy, incredible. I can't even put it into words.
Yeah, it's crazy business. It's credit to Jose Mourinho for first identifying that player, but also for the scouting team to go out and signing him for so cheap.
Yeah.
There's a question here from Runar asking who should we buy in January. I think for me, someone that we should be targeting right now is Dominic Szoboszlai, who we've found out today Tottenham are actually interested in signing. That's according to David Ornstein. So Runar, I did put a video up on my channel a while ago about that. So if you do want to go and check that out, make sure you go and do that. But I just want to get your guys' opinions on Szoboszlai as well as a potential signing for Spurs.
Yeah, look, for me, I know we were speaking earlier, and look, centre back or defender is not a priority for us anymore. It is more or less a centre attacking midfielder or another centre midfield option, because look at the clean sheets, look at our defensive record. There's no need, and there's no need to be spending money there. It has to be the midfielder now. And Szoboszlai is a player I've actually seen a couple of times in the Red Bull Salzburg shirt, and he's a very good player. He's very handy. And he's only going to get better. We have to remember he's only 19. He's got a hell of a free kick on him. Again, a thing we're missing, a set-piece specialist, someone that is a danger from free kicks and stuff like that. So for me, he'd fit in absolutely perfect. But it will definitely be a midfielder we're going to sign in the window, I feel. Yeah,
no, I agree. Scott, do you have anything to add on that, Szoboszlai?
Yeah, I don't have a ton to add. I think what David said is spot on. But I will say I woke up in a chat I'm in with you to that video of that free kick you had shared this morning. Of course, I'm here on the west coast of the U.S., so I'm the trail end of everybody waking up to start their day, right? But I woke up to that video, and man, you put a big smile on my face to start this Monday, because that was a rocket. Like, if we can get that type of talent, as David said, on a set piece, I'm all for it. And it does appear, I'm not an expert on the player by any means, but it does appear that he's going to offer us somebody who can give us ball progression, but also a little bit of stability at the back. And I think we kind of need that box-to-box player right now. I think Tanguy and Gio both do it well, but, having a third option there is very important, I think. And it seems that he could eventually, probably not the day after he signs, but eventually be that person for us. And at 19 years old, get it, man. I'm all for it.
Yeah, and just speaking of that free kick, we might as well have a look at it here. It's sensational.
Jesus.
The keeper doesn't even move.
No.
He's absolutely no chance on that one. And it's not a thing that he just does every now and then. This is a consistent thing with him. I've seen compilations on Twitter 2, 3, 4 minutes long of his best free kicks, and he scores from open play from distance as well. Todd, how exciting could it be to have a player with that ability in our team?
Well,
Another one.
I see, and that's the thing. It's another one, right? We have Gareth Bale on our team. We have Harvey White in our youth ranks, who arguably has the best free kick that Tottenham has right now. We've got a lot of opportunities. What I agree with is obviously having that type of free kick on the pitch is always exciting. Don't forget, we do have Eric Dyer, anyhow. But what I will say is I agree with Scott in the sense that we do need some box-to-box help. The other position that I'm not as sold on our center back situation right now, just because I'm not as high on David Sanchez, and I would like to. I'm not. I know we paid $43 million for him. I know he's 24 years old, but I would like to move him on and see if we can get some dollars and reinvest there. I wanted to ask you guys, what do you think of Joey Rodin? I'm excited about that sighting, but more for his song than for his play.
It is a great song.
It's a great song.
Yeah, look, for me, lads, Rodin is a player. To be honest with you, I didn't know too much about him before he came in. But like, even just looking at some of his cameo roles in the game he played against Chelsea, like I like the look of him. I like what I see. He's very pacey. He's very good in the air. He also likes to come out with the ball and play with the ball. And it's always good to have a centre back to do that. It makes the midfield's job easier, because it means he's comfortable on the ball and can keep the ball. So I'm liking everything I'm seeing from this guy. And this is why I'm thinking maybe we don't actually need to go and sign a centre back like we thought we did. But look, the only way I think we will sign a centre back is if we do get offered cash for Sanchez and we have a replacement ready to go. I think that's why you will see a centre back. But yeah, I like everything I see about Roden at the minute.
Yeah,
well, cool. Go ahead, Scott.
Just to add a little bit to David there, I completely agree. I think the biggest thing I've noticed with Rodon, and I'm sorry, I keep referencing mentality and like between the ears, but we all know if Jose's signing somebody, that's one of the first things he's looking at in the player. And Rodon just seems to have it for me. I mean, you stick a guy in for his first start against Chelsea in the London derby, makes a mistake, sure, has a great game though. And the biggest thing for me is after mistakes, he's still happy to get on the ball. He's not shying away. And that tells me a lot about the type of player that he is. And I think, as David said, just at the surface, he looks to be a very solid footballer. And I really think that we may be in a better situation than it feels. I do agree if we can get a good offer for Sanchez in, we explore it. But at the same time, down the stretch, and I'm talking March, April, right, we're going to need everybody. And I'm a little bit nervous about trying to mix somebody new in when we do have a Sanchez who's been around, and that gives us 3 or 4 months to get him ready for that stretch of games. So it's always a toss-up to sell somebody who's bedded in and bring in a Skriniar even, knowing that we're going to have to have numbers for that stretch. So
the one place that I would like to see us strengthen is actually behind PEH, because I think we can all agree that as much as we love him, Harry Winks is not that guy. I heard us getting linked with potentially Frank Kelly, which I wouldn't hate. I think that there's a few. I'd like to hear your guys' perspective being on the continent, but I think there's a few opportunities out there, but I don't know that a guy like PEH comes along very often.
Yeah, I think it's one of those situations where any midfielder that we do sign, maybe excluding Szoboszlai because he is so attacking, I think any sort of deep lying midfielder or any central midfielder knows they're a squad player, because at the moment we have Ndombele and Sissoko playing in front of Hojbjerg, and it's as simple as that. That's the three in our midfield. We tried to change it up a bit against Lask in the middle of the week, and Ndombele and Lo Celso just didn't seem to work well together. So any midfielder looking at this team, seeing first of all a player of Lo Celso's quality struggling to get into the first team, I think it's going to be very difficult for us to get anyone to come in there. But I would agree, it would be nice to kind of solidify those midfield options, because Harry Winks, he just hasn't been the player we've wanted him to be. Definitely not in Mourinho's good books. I think it's the same situation with Dele Alli. And look, I do want to mention as well, we do of course have Oliver Skip, who is out on loan at an Art at the moment. He is.
Well, he's a season long.
He's the long-term replacement for Pierre.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah,
I agree.
Definitely. Yeah, but a season there, getting first team football, playing in a team who they're a championship team with the players with Premier League experience. There are some Premier League players in that team, like Timo Pukki, Todd Cantwell, Max Aarons. They do have quality in that team. I think that's going to be an absolutely magnificent experience for him. I just want to take another question here from the chat from Reagan again, saying, will Spurs have an answer when we concede first? I suppose, first of all, the first game we conceded first was Everton. We ended up losing that one. But since then, I think we've only been behind in 2 games against Southampton and Manchester United. And those have gone on to be our biggest victories of the season. So it'll be interesting to see going forward, because we seem to have adapted a much more defensive approach now than we did in the early stages of the season. I think it will be interesting to see how we would adapt to any situation like that, especially if it is against a Palace or Liverpool. I'm sure there'll be very different approaches to that. But what I want to take a look at now is just a quick kind of tactical thing that we saw yesterday. And for the majority of this game, it was Arsenal lining up in a 3-4-3 and Spurs defending with the low block in a 4-4-2. As you can see there, Lo Celso going up and sitting alongside Harry Kane. And one thing teams have done against us this season, we saw it against Manchester City. They were pushing Bernardo Silva right out onto the left to try and target Sergio Aurier. They're pushing Bernardo Silva out there with Ferran Torres. Against Chelsea last week, they Timo Werner dropping into the wide space, and they were pushing players on and again trying to overload the left. And Arsenal did the exact same thing yesterday, and it nearly worked for them. I do have to say, Kieran Tierney got some fantastic crosses in, especially early on in that second half. But what they did was they dragged Aubameyang in kind of central. They pushed Saka on, and they pushed Tierney on as well, which causes, of course, this overload out here on this left-hand side for Arsenal. And it definitely caused us problems for a lot of that game, especially early on in the second half. And I was saying it to David yesterday, in the Chelsea game, they brought Hakim Ziyech narrow. It was on the other side when they tried this. They brought Hakim Ziyech narrow and created the space out wide for Reece James sprinting forward. And I said it to David, as soon as we started to see Arsenal picking up these spaces, I said, Mourinho's going to be able to counteract this. He knows what to do. He's a better tactician than any manager in the Premier League. And in the end, he did do this, because Granit Xhaka started dropping deep and picking up possession back there. which again is something Chelsea did. Mason Mount was dropping into these positions for them, and he was carrying the ball forward, and it was forcing Bergwijn out of position here to try and stop that, and they had this overload on the left hand side, and straight away Jose Mourinho counteracted that by keeping Bergwijn out wide and bringing Harry Kane into the space here to counteract Xhaka coming forward, which again completely nullifies the main threat that Arsenal had. They had a few chances with crosses from the left. I think Aubameyang hit one over, and Lacazette had one well saved by Lloris. Now came from the other side, but the initial attack came down the left. And it just goes to show, with Harry Kane especially, how every single player in this team knows what they need to do defensively. There's no player out there who's thinking, no, I'm a striker, I'm an attacker, I'm not going to do anything else. Son was tracking Bellerin, Bergwijn was tracking Tierney and Saka. Kane, of course, nullifying the threat there of Granit Xhaka. Todd, how impressed are you with how much every single one of these players is really, really buying into what Jose Mourinho wants to do?
Oh, I love it. I think that it's the perfect storm, though. And the reason why is because we played high-flying football and won fuck all. And with respect, the players know that. And when you play at the highest level, like you're like, okay, well, I know I'm awesome. I have the BT Sport commercial, and that's all well and good, but the trophy cabinet's pretty dusty. Let's figure it out. You bring in a guy like Mourinho, and he's like, listen, well, you can be the high-flying assholes, or we can make you champions. And they've decided that they want to be champions. So I think that you made a point earlier today that I wanted to touch on, Matt, which was the impressive nature of Serge Aurier and Moussa Sissoko working together and essentially being the Jose masterclass. And I absolutely agree with that. And I think what it boiled down to is that he's always got them thinking about what they're doing next. I think that's a big part of his philosophy. It's not about what are you doing, it's what are you doing next. And so we're seeing that with not only the way that they're playing, but with the way that he's counteracting these moves. It's like, okay, well, we're going to push Kane over here because it's then going to not only nullify their main attack, it's also going to leave Sissoko and Hojbjerg kind of in that lurch that allows them to do what they do and jump routes, which is essentially what Hojbjerg did the entire day. And then you've got Kane already past the midfield, standing up at the top of the formation looking for the outlet ball, and Hojbjerg found him 2 or 3 times yesterday. It's impressive, man. It's very impressive what Jose has these guys doing.
Yeah, and really quick, I just wanted to touch on this. I think there's a stigma around Jose when we signed him, or just in general, that he kind of like, kills the buzz around the club. We saw that at United, and who knows what actually happened, right? We're fans of a different club completely, but when he took over, I was very apathetic towards Spurs. It was weird. I'd really never been in that place, and of course, we were in relegation form. It was real bad, and I think I was at the point where I was, of course, never missing a match, but I was like, whatever happens today happens. I'm like, I'm kind of over caring, right? It was bad, and I think Jose, coincidentally or ironically or surprisingly enough, whatever you want to use, has made me just fall back in love with everything about this sport, and it never went away for me. Tottenham will always be the biggest piece of my life, etched on my heart. But he brought back that passion, and I think for a lot of people outside of Tottenham, they don't understand what's happening here, because Jose has this stigma around him that's not the type of thing that he does, right? But it couldn't be further from the truth. He has brought an energy back to this club. I was lucky enough to be at the weigh-in for his first match in charge against Olympiacos, and there was just such a buzz there that I still can't put it into words, the feeling I had that day. But you could tell that the fan base was ready to ignore the negatives around Jose, and we're ready to embrace the mega star that he is.
Is that the ball boy game?
It was the ball boy game. I was lucky enough to be there, man. That was a special one. I got to see Serge's goal. That was a weird one too, because we went down 2-0, and that was right when we signed Jose. Like I said, everything was just rough then. And I remember my wife and I looked at each other after we conceded the second, and literally said, like, of course we're going to be here for this one, right? This is going to get up. Sure enough, 4-2, and everything kind of took off from there. So all credit to Jose.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you. And first of all, I just want to thank Vamshidar very, very much for the £5 super sticker. Thank you very much for supporting the channel. I do greatly appreciate it. But yeah, look, I think it's one of those, Jose Mourinho is one of those managers where if he's a manager of your team, you love him and you adore him. Yeah. But if he's a manager somewhere else, you kind of you have it in for him. And I've even said it before, like the things that Jose has done in the past, like the little clips, the little gifs that you see, the ones in the past that made me dislike him are now the very same things that are making me love him, because I'm starting to see the value and the benefit that he has for the club that he's at. And I think in some weird kind of way, there's a bit of redemption for Jose Mourinho and what happened at Manchester United today with Paul Pogba's agent Mino Raiola coming out and saying Paul Pogba is finished at Manchester United. He's all done. He's causing a big frenzy in the media at the moment. And maybe Paul Pogba and his agent were a bit more problematic in that entire situation than Jose Mourinho was, now that we have a bit of perspective and we're looking at what may have happened there. But David, how can someone not love Jose Mourinho? We know there's a few Spurs fans out there who still aren't fully bought into what he's doing. But, what more can you say about the guy?
Look, first of all, he's the only manager in world football at the minute that get the likes of Harry Kane and Son to sacrifice goals and constantly being on the attack to come back and do the defensive side of the game. But look, I will say that it's purely because they have been there when we have been so close and they've been hard from it that they're probably willing to do it. But again, Mourinho is the only manager that we could have brought in that they do it for. If this is any other manager, everyone else would be calling him to be sacked. The guy's special. Look, at United, right? He took their probably United's worst team I've ever seen to second, right? He won the Europa League and everything else like that. So look, the guy, to me, the guy is just special. He just when he comes into a club, he just seems to get the majority of the fan base on side, and especially coming into Tottenham. You see how awestruck Levy is by getting him. He knows how lucky we are to have him. Likes of us here, we all know how lucky we are to have him. And I don't get anyone that's not on the Jose train. If they're not on the Jose train, they purely just hate him because of his time at Chelsea. And that's as simple as that. Because if you can't see what this guy has done to this club, even turning around careers like Eric Dyer, Eric Lamela, Serge Aurier, even Ndombele. He has Kane playing the best football we've ever seen, ever. He's the most complete player in world football, from being able to defend, drop back and create, and his passing ability, and he scores goals. Do you know what I mean? So, look, anyone that's not on the train, they're missing out. They really are missing out.
To that point, Dave, I want everybody to take a deep breath about Dele. Can we just do that real quick? The man's $100 million talent. He's a $100 million talent. Like, you look at the stats alone. We have reverence for stats on this broadcast, I'm sure, right? And when you look at the stats alone say there's no possible way that we need to bin Dele Alli off to Leeds. Like, there's no possible way. Everybody needs to take a deep breath. Jose knows what he's doing. He's dealt with superstars all over the world. Let him do what he needs to do with Dele. Everything's going to be okay. I'm really excited, man. I haven't been this optimistic about Tottenham in a long time.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And to add to David's point there about how, there's not many players in the world who would do this for Jose, or there's not many managers the players would do this for. Jose Mourinho himself has spoken about how he made Samuel Eto'o play on the wing. He's one of the best strikers in world football ever. He put him out in the wing. And I forget who said it, but the next manager who came into Inter Milan asked Eto'o to play on the left side, and he said, no, I only do that for Jose. So it goes to show the effect that he has on players. Now, before we move on, I still want to say there's over 100 people watching this live broadcast right now. So thank you very much to everyone who is watching. If you are new to the channel, we have a quick message for you here. We are going to get into the AFT memes, the best ones of the weekend, very, very shortly as well. But I know we've already spoken about it a bit, but I just want to talk about the reaction that we saw from pundits to Tottenham's game yesterday. I've been seeing Sky Sports, Twitter, their Facebook, their Instagram, their YouTube. All it is Jamie Redknapp saying it's not good to watch. All these different pundits saying it's not fun football to watch. But look, I think it is fun football to watch, and it's fun football to watch for Tottenham fans, and that's all Jose Mourinho wants. That's all the players out there want. The best way I can describe it is, it's fun and enjoyable to watch because at any given moment, no matter where the ball is on the pitch, no matter who has possession, Tottenham can score. We saw the two goals that we scored yesterday came from Arsenal's most dangerous attacks. That second goal that we scored, if Bellerin had put a bit more on that pass, Arsenal potentially could have had an equaliser. But 3 passes, 15 seconds later, the ball is in the back of their net, and it is really exciting to watch because I know, like, we're sitting back and we're defending, but you can't take your eyes off the screen because at any moment, we can go and we can counteract what's going on. And Look, I suppose the one question I do want to ask is, do any of you think at any point throughout the season we're going to see any sort of free-flowing attacking football from Spurs against the big teams? So I think against the smaller teams it probably will happen, but do you think there's enough quality in this team, quality at the back especially, that if we are going to be left exposed a bit at the back, do you think we have the capability to play free-flowing attacking football? I want to start with you, Todd.
Yeah, I mean, when we need to. I think that's the biggest thing is that every game, one of my favorite parts about Jose is that every game has its own plan. And you can clearly see that with the personnel that he picks and with the way that he sets up and with the way that he adjusts mid-game. Like, they do their homework, they do their research. These guys are true professionals. Long are gone are the days where you just show up and did what you did and they tried to stop you. Like, that's not the way that you win at this level. And so when I'm looking at free-flowing football, like we're not that far removed from a 6-1 fucking drubbing of Man United at Old Trafford, or 5-2 coming back from behind to pin back Southampton. And if you don't think that Sonny screaming down the left-hand side off of a pinged Kane outlet ball and burying one top bins isn't free-flowing football, get out of here. You don't like football.
Yeah, Scott, I think. I'll add to that too. I think for me, all the discussion, there's no excitement. It's stale. It's very lazy. And frankly, if I'm a professional pundit, I almost have to be embarrassed by sharing that opinion. In the first 11 games, we've scored more goals than we have since like the 60s. I don't remember the exact year, but if you think that we're not playing exciting football, you are so far removed from the reality of the situation that I just don't even really know what to say. And I think, again, it's lazy and frankly a little bit embarrassing from the people who are spewing this. And I say that I'm removing my Tottenham bias when I say that. I don't know how you can look at that as anything other than objective, to be honest.
For me, I wonder the fact that Mourinho used to work for Sky Sports. Does he have them on his payroll as well, that he's saying to them, just put out there, we're playing negative football, it's boring to watch, that we play under the radar, and then next thing you know, boom, we win the league. You never know. The guy's a genius. I'm telling you, he does it in the press with injuries and everything else. He's a genius.
Well, I think I would love for that to be true, but unfortunately, what I see is British punditry being 15 years old, and I see men sitting on stage carrying bias that they had from their playing days and trying to apply it to the product that they're watching on the field. And it's just not accurate. And they're doing a disservice to the fans, and they're doing a disservice to this club and to the players and to Jose by trying to convince people that we're playing shitty football. Because when you sit at the top of the Premier League table, it doesn't matter what kind of football you're playing. You're at the top of the Premier League table. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, look, if this was City, United, Chelsea, they'd be praising it. They'd be pulling out clips of how great they are defensive, who's covering what gaps, how coordinated it is. But because it's Jose and especially because it's Tottenham, they don't want to know. It's lazy. It's lazy as far as I'm concerned. They just don't want to sit there and have to pull out, or else they're just not knowledgeable enough and they can't see it. I don't know, but us Spurs fans can see it.
Yeah, we can, and that's all that matters. We get to appreciate what we're seeing on the pitch. And speaking of appreciation, Aaron Binstead says, hello, mate. Really good Spurs content. Thank you very much, Aaron. Really appreciate it. It always helps having three knowledgeable, insightful Spurs fans on here with me. Saying, just wondering if you think we should strengthen in January, and if so, what areas will that be? I think we should, and I know the guys agree with me. I think a midfielder could be a very good addition for us as well, or another centre-back might also be an option. I do have a video out about Dominic Szoboszlai from earlier this morning, if you want to go and take a look at that. Luke Trineman here saying, good to see Americans referring to it as football and not soccer. I'll say that is very appreciated. It has to be said. Now, I think, we have a comment here from Arthur Everett, a channel member, saying Levy has always wanted Jose Mourinho. Definitely, before we got Pochettino, I think he was looking at bringing in Jose Mourinho as well. If you do want to become a channel member like Arthur Everett, hit that join button down below the video and it'll explain everything for you. It's a good way to support the channel and get some exclusive access in return. Now, I think it might be time for some AFTV memes. So before we get into those, if you are enjoying the stream, please give it a big thumbs up. And if you hate AFTV, you might as well hit subscribe while you're here. I think we should start with one a reaction from. I think this is DT reacting to our second goal. I'm sure we've all seen it at this. Oh, yes. It's with the audio one. Sorry, 1 second. Let me take that off. This is definitely one that a lot of us have seen already, but let's enjoy it again.
Don't let him shoot, don't let him shoot, don't let him shoot, don't let him shoot. Oh, you fucking useless pile of fucking
like the money telling you can't have any sweets.
Yeah, I love the tantrum where he jumps up and down. Yes. Now, I know David shared one on Twitter. The best response to this.
Yes.
I was going to reference that. That's fantastic.
Oh, it's the best.
If you're happy and you know, then you really want to show it. If you're happy and you know, stomp your feet.
Oh, that's outstanding. There's another one here. This is
yes. Outstanding.
I love it.
Oh, the moonwalk is my favorite bit. Wow. We also had some questionable moments yesterday from Hector Bellerin. One of them was where he couldn't throw the ball in. It was a foul throw for him. And not the first time he's done it. I think we have to see Lee Judge's reaction to that.
fucking dirty little. He's done it again. He's done it again. Fucking little bastard.
Oh, it's amazing. I think
He's done it again.
It's just a quick stat here. Trust the process, they say. Well, the process involves having the 17th most goals in the league with just 10 this season. Hojbjerg and Son has the exact same. Even Dominic Calvert-Lewin has more than that. 18th most shots on target and the joint least chances created in the league. There was another graphic that I enjoyed recently that I don't have with me now, but it was a picture of Aston Villa's recent form. And they had 4 defeats. They had a defeat to Leeds and Brighton, I think. Then they lost to Southampton and someone else. And just right there in the middle was a 3-0 win at the Emirates. And it was absolutely beautiful to see.
All right.
The banter club of this league, definitely. Just as we're closing in on almost 200 people watching the live stream here, I was going to take this opportunity to give you a quick little message once again. Well, look, it's been an absolutely outstanding stream, a very, very enjoyable one. Thank you very much to Todd, Scott and David as well for joining me. It's been a fantastic weekend for Spurs. It's been a fantastic month for the club, and hopefully that will continue. Keep up this good form, and we could potentially be top at Christmas. Again, Todd, Scott, David, absolute pleasure talking to you today. Thank you very much for joining me. And for everyone who has watched, the couple of thousand that have joined us throughout the stream, as always, thank you very much.